folks, Jonathan here, back to work on the Yanmar to Cummins swap. And what we've got, a broken Lovejoy, I think it's called a centerflex joint. So I have ordered a new one, and we use this original hub. It's got bolts in it, but we've got to be able to bolt that on to that flywheel instead of that one. So I think what we're going to do is make a plate. I'm going to drill it and put it in the flywheel, and I don't know, I could take it off and see how thick it is, and I might still do that, but I can make a plate too. Either way, it really don't matter, because all that matters is what our distance is up being that we make for our hydraulic pump. Just the rubber pieces, that was $105 for that, which is crazy, but you got to have something in there to take up the vibrations, a dampener of some sort. So we're going to decide what we're going to do here. As you can see, get a little closer here. Okay, this steps out, and it is, maybe 1/8 of an inch or a little more above the bolts. That way, it's set out from it. Okay. This one would have to be stepped out. If we did drill 3 holes in it and tap them, they would have to be stepped out far enough to clear. Or we can just make a plate that bolts in here and bolt it to the plate. The only difference that's going to do, of course, is make our pump mount back a little farther, and that's not a big issue. We're actually much shorter here than what we were on this one with that cover on it. So we just got to decide what's the best way to do it. We're going to tap it. Wouldn't be hard to do. We can get our measurements off this one, set this up on a rotary table, and just rotate it. 3 clicks to get it, or we can make a plate and do the same thing with the plate. So we'll figure it out. All right. Okay, so last night we had a hurricane come through, and about 2 o'clock, 2:30 this morning, I got up and looked, and the eye was directly east of us. And when I say east, I mean east, maybe 30 miles, 40 miles. It wasn't nowhere from us. And I don't know what the wind got to here, but this carport was supposed to be at the neighbor's house, according to quite a few people, that 25-mile-an-hour wind was supposed to take it. Now, I don't know what they gusted up to. They was talking about 60, 65, 70, I don't know. But anyway, it's still here. So I'm not surprised. I guess some of you might be. All right, here's what we done. This is the piece we took off of the Cummins engine. Bolted it to a plate, and then I just torched around it. We'll grind it a little bit, and then we're going to put it in the lathe and go ahead and turn it. And I'm going to put a center in it, or put a center hole in it, and just mainly for measurement, so we can get our other 3 holes in it right. But this is the easy way to do this without a lot of aggravation. That way it'll hold the plate and everything, and we can go chuck to the inside of this. We'll clean it up, and the face of this, and then we'll dial indicate it in. Even though we're using a 3-jaw, we still want to dial indicate it in. And then before we start machining on this outside part, we'll actually drill it, put a center in, and then we'll run a live center or even a dead center right here from our tailstock to help hold it, because it is going to be sticking out 5 or 6 inches. And then we'll turn this down to the same OD as what's there, and that'll be right to fit in the flywheel. Like I said, we'll have our hole here, and then we'll just have to drill our 3 holes for our Lovejoy, that centerflex coupling, and then there'll be nuts on the inside. We'll tack or weld the actual nuts on the inside so they'll stay on the plate, and then it'll bolt through from the other side. So that's the plan. Let's get at it. Okay folks, I was running it on a live center here, and we've got it down where I want it, and we're right at the edge of it. So now we'll do this a little different. I'm trying to come up with a way of doing this so somebody could do it without doing a whole lot of measuring, especially like on the OD of this, because it's so big. You know, nobody's going to have a caliper that big, or not new. I mean, not the average person anyway. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to bore the center hole. I've decided to bore it. I'll show you what size. Okay, so I decided to bore it the same size as this flywheel hole. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make just a round pin that we can clamp in a vise, and then our plate in there will slide over it, and then this will slide over it, and then we'll go through and use these as a drill guide to drill our holes. And instead of doing a bunch of measuring and setting up on the indexing head, we'll just do it quick and simple, and I'll show you how you would do it if you didn't have an indexing head or anything else to work with. And we can come right down through them holes there, right into our plate. We'll just do them one at a time, and we'll get it all set up, and I'll show you. Okay folks, here you go. Here's our plate. It's in the hole. This is bored out to inch 845, and the reason I've done that is our flywheel for our other engine is got a hole the same size, so I'm going to bore a round piece to put in the vise, slide this on it, slide the flywheel on it, and that'll locate our 3 holes. Okay folks, so here's what we've got. We've got our plate, we've got our piece turned down, this goes on top. Alright, now we get our flywheel and put it on top. Well, I might need to clean some of this rust off first, but that's the plan anyway. Alright, there's our flywheel. This fits on. Ooh, dogs are barking here. And there's our plate. Now all we got to do is get over our hole, go straight down through, and then we'll put a bolt through it to keep it from moving, or clamp them together somehow, and then we'll go from there. There we go, we got the last one. So all these holes, all 3 of these are lined up perfect, and we'll take our flywheel off first and take a look. Now I'll go back through them, center them up, go back through them with a 1/2 inch to get them bigger, and then that way we can bolt our piece on. But I went ahead and went the size of the ID of the threads, and since these were metric threads, you know, I didn't want to hurt the threads inside of here, so I actually lined it up and went directly through without hurting them. So, but we're lined up. All right, maybe a little unconventional way of doing it. This is actually probably a little harder than what it'd be if I'd have just measured it out. But I just wanted to show you that if you don't have, you know, the ability to mathematically do it, or if you don't have a dividing head to divide, you know, for your 3. You know, there's other ways of getting by with this. And as for like making this other plate, the way I bolted it on there, I wouldn't have been scared to grind around it and then, you know, take a file and hand file it to make it fit to where you wouldn't even have to have a lathe for that. And then, you know, lathe to bore the hole for this and to turn this down. And then, you know, just to get this on, and you know, an old drill press would have done this. So, you know, don't limit yourself because of your tools and equipment. If you do, you just will stay in bed. Okay, so we got it bolted on, and we still got to get our new one, our new flex joint, but we're going to go ahead and put this on. Alright, very temporary there. Gonna come back off, but just want to show you what it looked like on, and then what we've got to do now is make another round plate, sort of like the one we already made, but we'll do 2 things. Okay, so what we're going to do next is build the round bell housing, and I call it a bell housing because of where this is at, it's going to have to be extended back some. And the way this is, it's got the extra inch up here, and it's I think 4.5 inches here, so we're still going to be about at the same location. It's not going to change enough piece of matter. But what we've got to do is build the plate, and then we'll bore a hole in the center of the plate, which will be exactly like that one for the pump, and we'll set it up where we can bolt the pump on, and then we'll have it drilled and everything. I'm going to make extensions and for the bolts to go through, and we'll machine them and make them all exactly the same length, and we'll put them around as spacers to bring this out where we need it. And then once we get it where we need it, I'm going to go in between the spacers with a piece of metal rounded and weld it, and then weld it to our plate and actually make us a small bell housing. Now that bell housing is going to end up, what do you think now? That bell housing, okay, so we've got to be 7/8 behind this piece here with the surface of the hydraulic pump mount. And I was figuring that this is actually right at 1 inch out, so you're looking at 1 7/8 total spaced out. So it'll be 1 7/8, and if you add, we're a little under 6 inches total. And then with that and the other one, we're going to be a little bit wider, but we're not going to be enough wider to matter. And I think it's going to work out just fine. So that's the plan. We need to go ahead and start tomorrow on the outer bell housing, on the outer plate. Machine it, get it ready. Our inside one's, you know, perfect, done, no problem. Everything's going to be centered. Should be good to go. Appreciate everybody watching. Till next time. Bye.